Libya now, which they are calling, Libyan racism towards blacks, because they see those black folks that they are fighting for Gaddafi. But actually, they are not mercenaries, in the real sense of it. A lot of them have benefited from Colonel Gaddafi personally. Now, in 1972, he formed what he called the Islamic Legion. A lot of these poor folks from sub-Saharan Africa, from Mali, Upper Volta, that's called Burkina Faso now, Chad, Niger, all of them.
Black Africa.
Exactly, enlisted, Sudan enlisted in that Islamic army. And that's the army he used to fight the Chadian government in the 70s when he tried to seize a place called the Azu Strip in Chad. In 1987, when the Chadian army, rolled back, Gaddafi's army, he dissolved this legion, and all of them went their way. That's one element. The second element is those blacks who live in southern Chad, called the Tuaregs, and the Tubus, some of them are in Chad, also, joined his army. Because when the Tuaregs were being harassed by the governments in Mali that they are fighting against, Gaddafi welcomed them. So they became citizens and joined his army. So these are the people that are seen, that call them mercenaries.
Mercenaries, but these are actually folks from...
Exactly. Yeah. Some of them live in Libya, and some of them from Sub-Saharan Africa who have tribal affiliations with those people. Third, you have those who live in Niger, Burkina Faso, Chad, and Sudan that have benefited financially from Gaddafi. Since he came to power, he has been building mosques, hospitals, schools in those poor parts of Africa that have none before. In fact, the government secretariat in Bamako, Mali, is being funded by Colonel Gaddafi. In Uganda, he has built mosques in Uganda, in Niger, in Chad, in Darfur, all these places. So these guys see him as their benefactor. Exactly. Where they will have no hospital, they have one because of him. Where they won't have schools, they have one because of him. So a lot of them are rushing to join his army because they believe they're fighting for their own interests. And not the way we see it. We see it as mercenaries. But they believe if he goes, they lose the little they have. That's why Gaddafi has this 150 billion sovereign fund that he uses to do all this.
To keep himself in power.
Exactly. That's why these people are fighting. Some of these black folks, from sub-Saharan Africa, and the Tubus and Tuaregs, those who live in southern Libya, because he has benefited them too. You see, so that's very important to understand. Now, the governments of Africa, most of them have not criticized him. It's because of some of these things that's why
he's also funded.
Exactly, has funded a lot of their own regimes and all that. And in fact, 15% of the dues of the African Union, Libya pays it. You see, so a lot of them have reason to keep quiet because their own populations have benefited, and they wouldn't want their governments condemning him. And secondly, a lot of them too have been in power for a long time, 20, 30 years, and so they don't have any grounds to start
talk about a 40 year.
Exactly, talk about his government. So it's better to keep quiet. That's why the AU has not taken any resolution or vote on that issue, because it's not something they will agree upon. Now, what is the military outcome? Today, the United Nations Security Council passed a resolution imposing a no-fly zone over Libya. And in a way, this is, tantamount to a declaration of war, because it will involve bombing.
Let's take this last commercial break, Dr. Du, and pick up at that exact point when we come back. And we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break. The topic is political.